Hi guys, welcome to McKola TV. This is the big match preview. Sevilla against Manchester United. The round of 16 in the Champions League. Yes, Champions League. Knockout football is back for Manchester United fans. It's been a while since we could say that. And I am really looking forward to this one. Despite the fact Manchester United come into it on the back of mixed away form. Yes, we returned to victory away to Huddersfield. We got a result in the FA Cup, but before that, back-to-back defeats on the road against Spurs and of course Newcastle have left Manchester United's form looking a little bit shaky coming into this game. But it's a game that we come into, despite the fact we've got a few injury worries, feeling very confident that we can get a result. These are the big games. These are the games that Manchester United are made for. These are the games that Jose Mourinho are made for. And this is the game. And these are the games that we need our players to step up in and be counted. This will show you how far we have come as a side. Because yes, of course, our Premier League form, second in the league. Any other year we're involved in a title race. Manchester City have been absolutely fantastic. Okay, fair enough. We're still in the FA Cup. We got to the quarters in the League Cup. But the Champions League is going to be a true test of where we are as a team. And this Sevilla side aren't a poor outfit. They're not the same Sevilla side that got back-to-back Europa League finals and all that stuff. Probably not the same side as that. But they've got some very handy players. And they can cause us problems sitting fifth in La Liga at the moment. They won a two-legged game against Atletico in Copa del Rey this season. And they won both games in that and won 5-2. So they have form over both legs. This is a big game for Manchester United. Really looking forward to it though. And hoping we can get a result. We've got plenty to discuss today. How will Manchester United approach the game? Which players could be back? Which players aren't going to be available? Of course, as well, I'll give you the team news. We're going to get updated team news on Tuesday. Of course, this preview is on Monday night. So we haven't yet had the benefit of hearing Jose Mourinho's press conference. But nevertheless, we'll look at the team news that's going into the game. And there is some early team news as well that the club have released. So we'll check that out too. I'll get into your questions ahead of the match as well, so keep your questions and your thoughts coming in. Keep liking the video, sharing, subscribing, all that good stuff. Tommy Wickens says we beat Valencia in Spain. Do you mean Celta Vigo if you're talking about the Europa League last season? Mr. Anonymous says United need to win comfortably. Every other English team has shown up so far. I don't think we can be comparing ourselves to every other English team. We're not playing someone like Liverpool. Who did they play? I can't remember. Now I know did they play Basel and Basel beat us? Is that what happened? No, that was Manchester City, right? I can't remember who Liverpool played. I know they had a great result, but taking nothing away from them, we've got Sevilla, who are a very difficult outfit. And to be honest, going into the game, I would take a draw back to Old Trafford, and I'd feel confident of beating them there because it's not the easiest place to go. Let's be real. The Tesso, how are you doing, mate? Thank you for getting involved. M. Sal says, have the boys flew out yet? From reading on the Manchester United website, it seems they'll fly out for the game tomorrow. So it looks like they could be flying out then after training. So it looks like that's when they'll fly out. Press conference tomorrow and all that good stuff as well. So make sure you keep it locked. I'm going to meet up with Cheeky Sport Dave tomorrow. We're going to some event tomorrow. So I'm going to be with Cheeky Sport Dave. I'll try and get a little live video or a little cheeky chat with Dave going down and get that uploaded as well. They played Porto, yes, that's right, you cube. Liverpool drew with Sevilla both legs, says Habib, yes. Sevilla played Liverpool in their group stages and drew both games. High scoring games as well. Now I don't think Manchester United will be as open. That's not to say we won't concede because they're a very good side, but nevertheless it could be a difficult game. A very difficult game. Someone's asking a question on if Mourinho is sacked. Really? I'm not even thinking about that. We're a long way from that. For VAR to work, we need better atmospheres at stadium. I don't think that. No, VAR affects atmospheres. It doesn't help atmospheres, I don't think. Anyway, so I'm not too sure about that one. What is the latest with Pogba, says Wesley. I'm hoping he's available. I mean, it was illness that he was left out of the game against Huddersfield, so you'd expect him to be available for this one. How long can he really be ill for? Nicola's watching in Cuba. Mo Wadder's watching. Yakub says he's feeling confident. Aditya says, am I going? I'm not going to the game. No, I haven't got a ticket for this one. Those ballots. Sanat Vidwan says Jose should play 4-3-3. And I think that is a big point as well. We obviously played 4-3-3 against Huddersfield, although we rested a lot of players against Huddersfield. Jose says he didn't. He only rested David De Gea. The others were left out because of injury, which he meant Valencia, Herrera, Rashford, and Cole. So we're saying only David De Gea was rested out of those guys. Whether that's mind games ahead of the game against Sevilla or not remains to be seen. But in that game we played 4-3-3. We played Carrick, Matic, McTominay. And now obviously that's a very, very slow midfield. McTominay is the youngest one there, and he's not even that quick. Obviously he's got legs on him and he can move the ball, and he can move around the pitch, but there wasn't much pace in that team at all. And there wasn't much pace in that midfield. I'd like to see Herrera and Pogba being available for this game, and hopefully starting with Michael Carrick now. I know that's something that we've suggested an awful lot this season, and I don't think we've seen it at all. So whether we see it or not's another thing, but that is the midfield three that I'd like us to see in the Champions League, particularly because I think we need to play a 4-3-3. It gives us balance. It gives us a lot of balance, 4-3-3, particularly with Paul Pogba and getting the best out of him. It allows us to play the attackers in their favoured positions, too wide, and obviously Lukaku up top through the middle. Of course, it has an effect on Mata and Lingard. Do they play in a 4-3-3? You could potentially say Herrera could drop out and Lingard or Mata could come in. But in a 4-3-3 that you want to be building away from home, you're less likely to put a Lingard or a Mata in there. Although, let me know your thoughts on that one. Do you think we could play a 4-3-3 with Herrera and Lingard? Because obviously you'd think Martial, Rashford and Alexis Sanchez would be taking the wider positions. CM Rapper in the house. How you doing, mate? Emsal wants to see Matic, Pogba and Ander. Do you think United can win the CL? Says, well, the Champions League, says Maze Tattoo. Do I think United can win the Champions League? Look, I don't think we're favourites, and I think you see some of the quality of football that's been on display as well. Obviously, United's form in the league, you'd say we're not at that level yet. But when you're looking at a team such as Manchester United, with the fan base and the stadium that we have, and we can turn it on European nights, when you look at the manager we have, some of the players that we have, Alexis Sanchez, Pogba, Martial, Lukaku, we've got players that can win any game. Now, the only side of things that I could potentially see letting us down is our defence. But Jose Mourinho is a manager who knows how to tactically work a team to get a result, whether that's a 0-0 away from home or a 1-0 at home or whatever. Whether it's pretty or not, Jose Mourinho can get a result. So I'd never write Manchester United off from winning a competition, particularly when we've got the players that we have and when we've got the manager that we have. But I don't think we're favourites for it, no, and I wouldn't put money on it because I wouldn't want to jinx it. My betting history is shit though, so if I put money on it, it's definitely not happening. Who would you play at centre back with Jones and Rojo out, says Jack. Jones and Rojo are potentially out. Now I'll give you that team news, the early team news, but we're waiting updates from Jose Mourinho tomorrow in his press conference. And the early team news is that David De Gea was rested, so he'll be available for the game, so that's not a worry. Jose Mourinho possibly could have Rashford, Herrera and Valencia available. He says Pogba, he doesn't know, but illness. You'd like to think Rashford, Herrera, Valencia, Pogba and De Gea would be coming back in. Rojo, Jones, Fellaini, Zlatan, he says, I don't think any of those have a chance. So there'll be no Rojo, no Jones, no Fellaini, no Zlatan. I don't know what's happened to Rojo and Jones, but Fellaini and Zlatan are obviously long-term absences. Eric Bailly is back as well, which is great news for Manchester United. Do you think we should be playing Eric Bailly from the start? Is this the game that we bring him back in from the start, or do you think we should play Victor Lindelof and Smalling? What centre halves do you want to see? Match prediction, fellas, says Mike. I'll give you my match prediction towards the end of the game. We've also got to do my predicted 11 and all that stuff as well. Would be nice to get Carrick's last bit of silverware to retire on. Also, it would be good to see a 3 of Carrick, Matic and Pogba, says Rifleman. So going with a different midfield 3 to the one that I was suggesting in Carrick, with Matic, Pogba and Herrera. The reason I can't see Carrick starting is because didn't he play 90 minutes against Huddersfield? I'm pretty sure he played most of the game against Huddersfield. I can't see him being used so soon from the start again. So I can't see Carrick starting. But stranger things have happened. It was his first game back as well for Manchester United. So you never know. I say first game back, his first start back in a while. Did he play for the whole game? Yes, he did complete 90 minutes. So can you see him, Michael Carrick, starting a game this weekend? I can't. I know Matic came off. He was protected a little bit. A little bit. He came off as a substitute. But I can't see Carrick starting this game, having played 90 minutes against Huddersfield. Habib suggested a 3-4-3 against Sevilla. What are you guys thinking about the possibility of that one? Could we see us go back to a 3-4-3, 3-4-1-2 kind of formation? Bailly, Lindelof, CM Rapper wants to see Bailly and Lindelof preferred over Bailly and Smalling, says David Ajirumi. Obviously, Smalling played better against Huddersfield, but I kind of agree with you guys, although in my predicted team I have put Bailly and Smalling because I can't see Jose playing Bailly and Lindelof. Tommy Wickens says Adam would love to win the Champions League this year to blow the City out of the water for all their good work. Didn't that happen in 1968 when Manchester United won when we won the European Cup? Didn't City won the league that season as well? I may be wrong, but I think City won the league that season and United just overshadowed them by winning the European Cup and becoming the first British side to win the European Cup. Someone may need to fact check me on that one, but I'm sure City won the league and United won the European Cup in 1968. Random bit of trivia that for some reason I know, but may be wrong. Would you take a 1-1? Says Raph. I'd take a 1-1, yeah. I'm confident we could limit them to a goal or 0 goals at Old Trafford and we could win the game. So, yeah, like I said, I would take a draw at this game. I'm not saying we should go out set up for a draw from the off, because I do think we have players that can kill them on the counter-attack. You look at the counter-attack against Huddersfield, Sanchez and Lukaku linking up fantastically well, and that was really, really impressive. Seeing Romelu Lukaku involved in the build-up for his goals, dropping deep, using his strength ability to pass the ball on, continuing his run up the pitch and being found. That's what we need to use more of. Romelu Lukaku in those kind of areas, in those kind of positions, with his back to goal and then spinning and getting behind strikers. Statman Dave put up an image of Sevilla playing at the weekend. Now I think they played, was it Leganes or Las Palmas? One of those teams. Now they won at the weekend. I can't remember who they played. They've won their last 3 games, although their form before that was a little bit sketchy. And yet they won that game now. And let me see, who was it again? Who did they play again? They played Las Palmas, sorry. And they had an early kickoff on a Saturday, which was beneficial for them as well. But they played, Yedder played, who's their top goal scorer on 14 goals. He scored as well in a 2-1 win. And Zonzi played, who's likely to play against Manchester United. Correa, Jesus Navas also played. So a lot of their players did play. The rest did a few as well. The likes of Roque Mesa could potentially play for them against United in one of the defensive positions. They've got Nolito's out though, Corsia's out, Jose Mena's out, and Pereira's out for them. But they play a 4-2-3-1, and they play a very high line. Now, if they approach the game against Manchester United like that, Manchester United would be able to use Romelu Lukaku to very good strengths. And as I said, check out Statman Dave's tweet where he showed a good image of that. No Martial, no party, says Ryan. How is Sevilla's form, says Harishi. As I just said, they've won their last 3 games, but their form is pretty mixed over the last 6 games, because before that they hadn't won a game in 3, where they lost against Eibar 5-1 in a league game, which is a huge defeat for them. Drew with Leganes in the Copa del Rey 1-1, and drew with Getafe at home 1-1. But before that, they beat Atletico Madrid over both legs in the Copa del Rey, including a 2-1 victory at Atletico Madrid. So over 2 legs, they're in good form this season. In recent form, they've won their last 3 games, and they'll be feeling confident. They've still got Nzonzi, yes, and Nzonzi still plays for them. As an Sal says, Nzonzi is reborn in Spain. Guys, thank you for watching. Make sure you're liking, sharing, subscribing, getting your thoughts in as well. This is the Sevilla against Manchester United preview ahead of the UEFA Champions League last 16, round of 16, first leg tie for Manchester United. Really looking forward to this one on Wednesday. This is the 11 that I think Manchester United should be selecting. I've gone with David De Gea. In goal, Valencia, Smalling, Bailly and Luke Shaw. Matic, Herrera, Pogba. Although that could be a Matic and Herrera both deep with Pogba ahead of them. But I'd go with Matic, Herrera, Pogba. Sanchez on the right, Martial on the left, Romelu Lukaku. Now that is in hope rather than expectation. I'm not 100% convinced Jose Mourinho will select that side and select the side that I want. But what do I know? Hey, he has a manager that's won this competition twice before and with inferior sides as well. That's why when people say to me, can Manchester United win the Champions League? I say possibly. It's possibly because we've got a manager that knows how to win this competition. We're a team with history in this competition. We've got a fan base that any given day at Old Trafford can drive this team onto a result. So it's very possible, but we've got to get a good result against Sevilla in Spain. It's a big game. It's a big week for Manchester United. We've got Chelsea on the weekend as well. It'll be interesting to see the lineup that we pick. Obviously, we're playing on Wednesday, then Sunday, so we have got 3 days break in between those games, and we should have time to repair the side and get players ready again for the game on Sunday. But this game, I think, would take priority. You want to get through in the Champions League, get through to the last 8, see what kind of draw we get, and I think this is a team that I would like to see. Now, Mourinho will play Ashley Young. Don't think he trusts Luke Shaw, says Jack. And I was about to say exactly the same thing. I wouldn't be surprised if Jose Mourinho did pick Ashley Young, but I would go with Luke Shaw personally. I wouldn't mind seeing Lindelof and Bailly together, but I think he'll go with Smalling. So my back four is kind of mixed of what I would like to see and what I think Jose Mourinho will do. I can see Valencia coming back in. Hopefully he's available for that one. Hopefully Herrera's available as well, because I'd like to see him in a midfield and getting Pogba freed and up the pitch. Now, Jose Mourinho in his press conference ahead of the Huddersfield game said, I played a 4-3-3 against Newcastle. I don't know what you guys are talking about. Now, it didn't look like a 4-3-3 against Newcastle. Paul Pogba was very, very deep. And then when Paul Pogba was out, he played a 4-3-3 against Huddersfield, and it was clearly a 4-3-3 as well, which was interesting. Hopefully he's preparing for this game and we will play a 4-3-3. But I think it worked well at times, and particularly getting Lukaku and Sanchez breaking on sides as well. Against Huddersfield, we seem to accept the fact that it was very difficult to break them down in the home game. In the game in the league against them. And so we kind of let them have more of the ball and let them come out at us, so we could hit them on the break, and that's where we got the goals from. Sal says, like the video. Yes, make sure you're hitting that like button. We've got just over 200 people watching at the moment. Can we hit at least 100 likes? Come on, hit that like button. If you're not subscribed as well, I know at least 50 of you guys watching aren't subscribed, because I check the stats on these videos, so make sure you're hitting that subscribe button, eh? Come on, do me a favour. We're trying to hit 50k ASAP. Anyway, hopefully Rashford plays, says Khalid Nah, and Jose Mourinho has said he's one of those that could be returning to the Manchester United squad for this game. We look forward to seeing that squad tomorrow, flying out to Spain. Now, of course, I was going to do this preview tomorrow, but with the fact that I'm meeting up with Cheeky Sport Dave and we're going to watch the game and chilling and all that stuff, we're doing that event, so I'll do some content with Dave, maybe surrounding the Champions League. I'll bring my laptop and all that. So we'll get something going with Cheeky Sport Dave. But I thought I'd do the Champions League preview on the Monday night, get that out of the way. So we've definitely got it up before the game. I'm in the full-time Devils preview tomorrow as well, so make sure you keep it locked for that. It's Champions League week, says Arslan. Whoop whoop. Yagub says it's just like the video, and the likes have jumped up to 80 likes. Since when was Jones and Rojo injured, says Ibrahim. I know, funny innit? I didn't realise there were so many players injured until that Huddersfield game, and then it looks like Valencia, Herrera, Rashford have been added to the injury list, so hopefully they'll be back. And Jose Mourinho has said he hopes they'll be back as well. It could be potentially mind games, because Sevilla would have been seeing that game against Huddersfield. Of course they would have known Jose Mourinho has rested a player or two, but they would have been seeing that and thinking, oh, who's going to be available for them? How are they going to play? Are they going to play a 4-2-3-1? Are they going to play a 4-3-3? Sevilla themselves play a 4-2-3-1. So it'll be interesting to see if they change anything as well. Glenn Fletcher, thank you very much for commenting. Victor Simiov, thank you very much for commenting. Tony says we aren't actually going to win the CL or the Champions League, are we? Possibly, who knows, but we got to get a good result in Spain first. Smalling is not good enough, his Everton standard, says M. Ali. Where can I see you get Swansea fan cams after the game? Come and see us, catch up with the guys at Full Time Devils, and of course myself as well. I'm looking forward to being back at Old Trafford this Sunday too for the Chelsea game, but of course mine's firmly on the Sevilla game first. Jose serious about being a best behaved manager. He has been well behaved though, Utkarsh. You've got to notice that he's kind of prevents himself from saying things, even though he rattled the fuck out of Antonio Conte. Jose Mourinho does hold back a little bit in saying things now. Herman says he thinks Young will play. What would you rather, win the Champions League or the Premier League, says Jose Mourinho. The Premier League for me. It's a bread and butter. We haven't won it in a while. Of course the Champions League is nice, but I think if you win the Premier League, you have a team therefore that should be able to challenge for the Champions League and hopefully win that. So I would rather see us win the Premier League. It's the bread and butter, and it means you've been winning games week in, week out. So yeah, that. Greetings from sunny Florida. This will be a tough match. 1-0 for United, says Pedro. Nana Ajembi says good formation, but I think Jose will play Young at left back. M. Sal says Mourinho never shows his hand. I know he'd be a difficult poker player to play against, wouldn't he? Sevilla at class at home. Very hard game this one, says Ricky Swales, sorry. Ronak says he would rather win the Champions League. Khalid says, have you met Sir Alex Ferguson? I have met Sir Alex Ferguson. If you go on my Instagram, there's a picture of me and him together at one point, but I bumped into him a few times around Old Trafford. Managed to get a picture with him once. I would love to interview him. I think that's my target for 2018. Last year our target was Eric Cantona. This year it's Sir Alex Ferguson. Fingers crossed we can make that happen at Full Time Devils. Conte will lose his wig at Old Trafford on Sunday, says Rifleman. Yes, MSL, we have got Chelsea on Sunday, but we got to think about Wednesday first. Don't be letting your minds wander towards the other game. So that's my predicted teams, ladies and gentlemen. De Gea, Valencia, Smalling, Bailly, Shaw, Matic, Herrera, Pogba, Sanchez, Martial, Lukaku. Of course, we don't yet know whether the likes of Herrera, Valencia, Rashford are going to be fit. We need them to have late fitness tests, but fingers crossed Jose Mourinho is just playing a little bit of mind games with the Sevilla manager Montella. Anyway guys, let's bring it full screen again. How are you guys doing? I'll answer some of your questions ahead of the game. Champions League fever, whether they're on the Manchester United game, other Champions League related things, get your questions in. Mourinho not bothered how badly we play if we get a win. Do you like this attitude, says Jomcap. I like that attitude at times. I don't like that attitude at home against Huddersfield. I don't like that whole attitude at home, things like that. But away from home against Sevilla in a Champions League knockout group, I can take that attitude. I don't mind that. And people have short memories. Sir Alex Ferguson, at one point in his career, found it, after 1999, we found it very difficult to repeat our Champions League success. And he brought Carlos Queiroz in to help him kind of tactically change things a little bit in the continental game. That saw us, do different things and try different things out. And we were very more defensive minded in some Champions League games. I remember going to Barcelona, drawing 0-0, winning 1-0 at Old Trafford, and we were very defensive in those games. Yes, we could have won the game at the Camp Nou if Ronaldo scores his penalty, but people kind of look back at Sir Alex Ferguson's reign with a little bit of nostalgia and a little bit, more positivity. Of course, it was a great reign, and I didn't mind those results, but you have to realise that Fergie did that at times too. Guys, we've got 212 people watching. Can we hit 46,400 subscribers? And can we hit 150 likes? Get hitting that like button or that subscribe button if you haven't done either so far. Who do you think will score on Wednesday, says Rifleman. Romelu Lukaku returns to scoring ways against Huddersfield. He got a brace, and I fancy him to get a crucial goal for Manchester United. His record in European fixtures is very good so far this season. I think it's 5 goals in 7 games in European games if you include the Super Cup. So I'm confident that he can get a goal for us against his Sevilla side, and we can bring a result back to Old Trafford. I'm going for a 2-1. That's my prediction, 2-1 Manchester United. Ryo says he thinks United will win 100%. Every now and then but nothing like Jose, says Yedder. Be happy with the draw on Wednesday, honestly, and then get him back to Old Trafford, says Robbie Jones. He fixes games, he wears a wig, says JRPC 13. VAR is shite, says Michael Musi. Guys, if you want to hear me talking more about VAR, then make sure you're checking out the weekend wrap from yesterday with myself and that boy Dean. We were discussing all things VAR and the FA Cup draw and the FA Cup weekend results as well. So go and check that out after we are done here. How are you guys doing anyway? How are you feeling ahead of this game? Confident? Score predictions? Predicted 11s? Lukaku probably scored the kind of goal we bought him for against Huddersfield, says Jumcap. If Mourinho plays 4-3-3, we'll win 3-0, says Youssef. What's up, Manny? Hope you're doing well. SR says 5-2. Expect Lindelof to start, says Legend Luca. Ben Yedder is already in Bay's pocket, says Khalid. Lukaku 2-0, says Ryo. How do I know Dean, says Mo. Me and Dean go way back, probably about, I've known him about 10-11 years now. From college I met Dean, so probably earlier than that, but that's where I met Dean, in college. And then we both realised that we both went to Manchester United games. I went to Manchester United games with my dad. Dean went to Manchester United games on the coach, and then that's when Dean introduced me to the coach. I started going on the coach more often as well with him and stuff. But that's how I know Dean, through college, but also through Manchester United. And then Dean also met my dad through Manchester United, and then became friends with my dad as well. Travelled to games with us. So that's how we become friends, and we stayed friends too. John Captain is going to be 1-1. Sanjar says, would you take a 0-0? Yes, because I'm confident we can beat them at Old Trafford. 1-1's my prediction, and we'll win 2-0 at Old Trafford, says Jose Mourinho. What would your lineup be, says Matt Hodges. So I'm guessing Matt Hodges missed this moment in the video when we had the 11 up on the screen. And if you're watching this live, then you may have missed that, so I'll bring it back up for you. And if you're watching this back pre-recorded, then here it is again. My predicted 11 for this game, or my preferred 11 for this game, is David De Gea, Valencia, Smalling, Bailly, Luke Shaw, Matic, Herrera, Pogba, Martial, Sanchez and Romelu Lukaku. That is my predicted 11 for this game. Get your thoughts, your predictions and your predicted 11s in the comments below. We've got a few more minutes ahead of this preview. I'll take a 1-1 draw now, says Andrew Field. 3-1, you heard it here first, says Governor Bandicoot. 3-0, Sanchez and Lukaku. A lot of confident people here. A lot of confidence. SK thinks it's going to be 2-1 to Sevilla, which would set up a risky result. It would set up a huge game at Old Trafford. Peter Mahone says stick a tenner on the Sanchez double. Now Sanchez has played, is it 5-6 games for Manchester United so far? Scored once, set up a few. Fancy him to get a goal, could get a goal. Matt Hodges is saying he loves the lineup. Reckon Gomez will be on the bench. As all things football, depends on who's back in terms of those injuries. If we get all of those players back that Jose says he expects to be back, then probably not. Opinions on Pogba's illness, says Jack. I'm not, if he's out of this game against Sevilla, I'll probably be a little bit worried, but I'm not worried at the moment. 2-1 Sevilla first leg, 3-1 United second leg, says Ricky Swales. So he thinks it will be 4-3 United over both legs. That'd be entertaining, wouldn't it? We should end the tie. Whoa, Ali wants to say ending the tie in the first. Whoa. That's a bit confident, isn't it? I ain't that confident, that's for sure. I ain't that, because they've got some very handy players. As I said, Nzonzi in the midfield, they've got Ben Yedder, Herrera, Jesus Navas. They've got players that could possibly cause us problems, so we need to be wary of that going into this game, and we can't take any result for granted at all. 1-0 and an away goal for United, says Drool Mouth, and Khalid says this lineup is amazing. Amir says, how important is the away goals? I think away goals are only important if you lose. If you draw 0-0, I don't think it's really important, because we should be beating Sevilla at home. Do you know what I mean? Against bigger teams, maybe the away goals come into consideration. But if we get a draw, I'm thinking we should be beating Sevilla at home. So if we get a draw, I'm not too concerned. If you lose 1-0, 2-0, well, obviously if you lose 1-0, get an away goal, it's 1-1, it's not a defeat. But if you lose 2-0 and get an away goal, brings you back in the game a little bit, doesn't it? Because all you have to do is win 1-0 at home. So Of course, they're very, very important, but I don't think they should be the most important thing in these kind of games, because we should be beating Sevilla at home. So even if we get a draw 0-0, 1-1, 2-2, who cares? I am confident we will get a result though. I'm not sure why. Maybe I've taken my happy pills this morning, but I'm going for Manchester United 2, Sevilla 1, Romelu Lukaku to get a goal, and Alexis Sanchez to strike 2. That's my predicted 11. Get yours in the comments below. Whether you watch this live, thank you very much. Whether you watch this back later on after we restreamed it live, then thank you very much as well. I really do appreciate all of you guys. I hope you're hitting that subscribe button. We're trying to hit 50k. Liking and sharing as well, and get your thoughts in the comments below. Guys, I have been Adam McKola. This has been the Sevilla Big Champions League match preview. Make sure you're keeping it locked. We'll have more this week, as well as reaction after the Sevilla game, and hopefully a Manchester United victory in the Champions League. I've been Adam McKola. I'm out of here.